morning, everyone. Hi. How many of you have attended the last year DevFest? Okay, great. Those who have attended last year DevFest, did you get a chance to attend my session last year? How many of you got a chance to attend my session last year as well? Okay, can someone tell what we discussed last year? If you can remember. I know it's very difficult, but there are a lot of topics going on. No? Okay, so last year we discussed about building enterprise level application. So when enterprise comes, it's a large application, big application, and that's where the one topic which came, which is like the scaling design system. That was the first point in that the enterprise level application. So I'm going to deep dive on today about what is the scaling design system looks like, so, and with respect to Flutter as well. And also I will share my experience that what I learned by developing this in my past organization and in the current organization. Cool? So this is what we are going to do today. Yeah, next. So just a quick small introduction. I'm a Flutter and GD, the mobile app architecture architect. So if you get some problem statement and if you know how to build a mobile application out of it, and then whatever the planning you do, you take 30,000 step above, and then you plan, okay, how my mobile app will talk to server, how it will talk to third-party service, how it will talk to my AI model, right? All those things as an architect we need to take care first, and then we are building a solution, then we pass to the engineering team, and then they will start writing a code on it, right? Okay, apart from that, I'm also a startup mentor. There is a program called Google for Startup Accelerator. So if you are doing your startup and if you need any kind of help that, hey, how to do this in terms of product, in terms of engineering, in terms of market, I can help you over there as well. And does anyone aware what is this A11Y? Anyone aware about this, the new term? This is not actually new term, this is a very old term, but as an Indian, we always, ignore this term, but this is a very important term. Yes? Yes, it's an accessibility. Anyone aware what is accessibility is? Any idea? Accessibility શું છે? Anyone? કઈ બી idea છે accessibility નો? Yep. Okay. Okay, so that means blind people and physically able people will be able to use our app. That's called accessibility. Okay. But as a developer, we are writing the application which even the normal user are not able to use it. How we can think of, the specially able people will be able to use it. So there is a very big market for this accessibility thing. So I'm an advocate for accessibility, advocate in terms of that if your application is there and you don't know how to make it accessible for the people who are not able to use your application in a normal user way. I'll give you an example. And why we are discussing this, because it is related to design system. Okay. Consider yourself that you are traveling somewhere. You have a lot of luggage in your one hand. Another hand, you have a mobile app. And that mobile app, there are some, and you have a big mobile app, right? Right now, everyone have more than 6-inch of mobile, 5.8, 5.7, 6-inch. Now, there are something you want to do, which is like, book ticket or want to show a ticket or show the QR code. But that button is very on the top. Will you be able to do it? Very difficult, right? That's called a part of accessibility. It's not like that only the disabled people or specially able people will be able to use your app. It's like how any user should be able to use your app. That's called accessibility. Clear? Okay. Next, please. Yeah. So why we are here today? What we are going to discuss next? We are going to discuss the scalable system design, correct? What is the system design? Planning the architecture, how we will set up the infra, right? What are the different components, the APIs, services, AI models, how we are going to use it. The databases, either we are going to use the SQL databases, NoSQL databases, vector databases, right? And understanding how they interact with each other, correct? This is what we are going to do today? Yeah? No. Looks like you haven't read or listened properly. This is not a system design. This is design system. Okay, both are different. You might have heard about the system design round, interviews and everything. Design system is different, okay? We'll discuss what is design system. Next. Can someone tell me how we are going to write the code if you want to create this button? Let's take an example. I want to create this button in Flutter. How we will write the code? Anyone? Okay, next. We might use the elevated button, right? We'll write it. Next. Or maybe we just wrap it with the padding and then wrap with the gesture controller or inkwell and we'll create a button. Or maybe we just wrap it with a container and then again, on tab. Now what happens here? The same button, but 3 different developers writing a 3 different code. What is happening because of this? Next. Happens, right? પછી બગ આવે ને પછી ખબર પડે સાલો કયા બટનમાંથી બગ આવે છે કેમ આવું થાય છે, right? Next. So the problem is with the inconsistent code. What happens that we as a developer, creates the same button in many different ways, and that leads to the slowing down the team. Have you ever went into the situation કે એક મોટી એપ હોય જેમાં 40-50 સ્ક્રીન્સ હોય અને 4 ટીમ વચ્ચે ડિવાઇડેડ હોય, બધા લોકો પોતપોતાની રીતે કોડ લખતા હોય, હે ને? પછી ખબર પડે બગ આવે, અરે આ બટન તો જોયેલું છે, મને કોડ આપને, પેલા કંઈક અલગ જ કોડ લખ્યો, ખબર જ ના પડે શું લખ્યું, રાઈટ? સો દેટ્સ વાય ધ UI કન્સિસ્ટન્સી નથી રહેતી એમાં. સેકન્ડ, એન્જિનિયરિંગ ટાઈમ વેસ્ટેડ રીઇન્વેન્ટિંગ ધ ન્યૂ કમ્પોનન્ટ. સેમ બટન 4 લોકો અલગ અલગ રીતે રીઇન્વેન્ટ કરે છે. હવે આ જ બટનની અંદર ભૂલથી આગળ આઇકન આવી ગયો તો ઓકે, આ જ બટનમાં ખાલી મારે કલર ન જોતો, ખાલી એકલી બોર્ડર જોઈએ છે, તો ડિફિકલ્ટ. કેટલી જગ્યાએ ચેન્જ કરશો? જ્યાં કોડ લખ્યો છે ત્યાં બધી જગ્યાએ. નેક્સ્ટ. અપાર્ટ ફ્રોમ દેટ, નોટ ઇવન અ ડેવલપર, ઇવન ધ ડિઝાઇનર આલ્સો ડુઈંગ ધ સેમ થિંગ. તમને ફિગ્મા આપશે, એક ફિગ્મામાં લખેલું હશે બ્લુ કલર, બીજા ફિગ્મામાં લખેલું હશે હેશ, ત્રીજા ફિગ્મામાં લખેલું હશે કંઈક નવું જ, ત્રણેયની વેલ્યુ સેમ હશે. થાય છે એવું? સેમ, correct? So just because of these problems, what happens that it's very difficult to scale. Now what does it mean by scale? હવે સેમ પ્રોજેક્ટ તમારે બીજી વાર આવે તમે શું કરશો? કોપી પેસ્ટ? અથવા એ બટન બીજે કશે યુઝ કર્યું તો કયું બટન યુઝ કરશો? નો આઈડિયા. That's where the problem comes into the picture. Next. So we are here for design system. Okay, so what exactly the design system is? A design system. શાંતિથી પાછળ જતો વાંચી લીધું બધા. ઓકે, એક જ. Okay, so the design system is just a style guide for UI graphics design. It's a guide. It's a set of rules. Okay, let me just give you an example. મેકડોનલ્ડ્સની એડ ગમે ત્યાં જુઓ તમે, એમાં મેકડોનલ્ડ્સ લખેલું બી ના હોય એની પેકેજિંગ ઉપર, એની એપની અંદર, એના હોર્ડિંગ બોર્ડ પર, but you are able to figure out that this is a McDonald's ad. Correct? Same with any brand. Let's take an example of a brand. What is your favorite brand? You can just give me an example. I love McDonald's, so that's why I give an example of McDonald's. Domino's? See, you can see why I'm, sorry? Jai Bhavani? ના, એની કોઈ ડિઝાઇન ગાઈડલાઈન નથી. બહુ જ ખોટી વાત છે. એની દાબેલી બી 2 અલગ અલગ હોય છે. સેમ ફ્લેવર. Okay, next. So the design system is the guidelines, and what it helps is it actually ensures that the product have a consistent, cohesive, on-brand experience. Zomato. Okay. Does anyone ever got a chance to go to Zomato, Zomland, કે એવી એની ઇવેન્ટ થાય છે, ફિઝિકલ ઇવેન્ટ? ક્યારે ગયા છો ત્યાં? ઓકે, કોઈ બી બ્રાન્ડની ઇવેન્ટમાં ગયા છો? એની બ્રાન્ડ ઇવેન્ટ, ઇફ યુ હેવ એવર ગોટ અ ચાન્સ. ઓકે, IPL, રાઈટ? IPLનું એક સિગ્નેચર છે, શું છે? સાઉન્ડ. સો દેટ સાઉન્ડ ઓલ્સો પાર્ટ ઓફ અ ડિઝાઇન સિસ્ટમ. That will remind you that brand. That brand has a different color. 8 કે 9 ટીમ છે, બધાના અલગ અલગ કલર્સ છે. But that all colors, like you feel like a very harmonized to each other, right? જ્યારે બે ટીમ જોડે રમતી હોય તમને લાગે કે IPL ની ટીમ છે, આ ODI ની ટીમ્સ નથી. You are able to identify the difference, right? That's called the cohesiveness for the brand experience, right? Next. So what is design system exactly? So design system is a visual plus interaction plus code, tokens, and governance. This is a whole mixing is called as a design system. Till now you are with me. Any questions? Design system, or short form is a DS. So DS is design system, not Dhrumil Shah, okay? So make sure this. Next. Okay, so many of the time we feel that design system એટલે કશું નહીં, આપણે બધા components બનાવી દઈએ, આપણી UI library બનાવી, that's my design system. ઘણા લોકોએ બનાવ્યું હશે, right? Login form બનાવી દીધા, password બનાવી દીધું, list view બનાવી દીધા, correct? Buttons બનાવી દીધા. That is not a design system. That's just your UI library. એક library છે જેમાંથી તમે component use કરો છો. The design system is much bigger that we just discussed. Next. So there are mainly these three terminology that most of the time we all get confused. Design library, UIKit, and design system. Consider kit. તમારી પાસે સ્ક્રૂડ્રાઈવરની કિટ છે, પાના પકડની કિટ. એમાં એની અંદર છે ને તમારી પાસે સ્ક્રૂઝ નહીં હોય, ખાલી પાના પકડ જ હશે. સ્ક્રૂ અને પાના પકડ ભેગા થાય ને ત્યારે તમારી પાસે એક આખી સિસ્ટમ આવે. પ્લસ એની અંદર પછી ડ્રિલિંગ મશીન આવે ને ત્યારે હજુ એક મોટી સિસ્ટમ થાય. સો ઇટ્સ સમથિંગ લાઈક દેટ. સો યુઆઈ કિટ કે તમારે યુઆઈ બનાવવા માટે કઈ કઈ વસ્તુ જોઈએ? ભાઈ તમારે ફોન્ટ્સ જોઈએ, ડિફરન્ટ ટાઈપ્સના ફોન્ટ્સ જોઈએ, રાઈટ? દેન યુ નીડ સમ કલર્સ, કે તમારો મેઇન કલર શું છે બ્રાન્ડનો, સેકન્ડરી કલર શું છે, ટર્શરી કલર, ત્રીજો કલર શું છે. યોર આઇકોનોગ્રાફી. વી મોસ્ટલી યુઝ material.icons in Flutter. But do you know you can have your own iconography as well? તમારા અમુક જે ફોન્ટ્સ હોય ને અક્રોસ ધ એપ, જેમ કે બુક માય શો. બુક માય શોના જે આઇકન્સ છે ને એવા તમને બીજે ક્યાં નહીં જોવા મળે, એના પોતાના આઇકન્સ છે. એ લોકોએ પોતાની આઇકોનોગ્રાફી બનાવેલી છે. યુ કેન ઓલ્સો ક્રિએટ યોર ઓન આઇકોનોગ્રાફી ઇફ યુ આર હેવિંગ યોર ઓન પ્રોડક્ટ, રાઈટ? And then comes the UI component, buttons. CRUD application કેટલા લોકો વાપરે છે? એના buttons જોયા છે, આખા અલગ છે, right? So they have their own component library. એનું નામ ખબર છે કોઈને? Yes? Neopop, correct. So they have their own library. Even though they say it's a design system, but it's not still complete design system. They are just building on it, right? Now when we come from UIKit to design library, so whatever you have on your UIKit with the components, and then comes your design patterns as your design library. So design patterns means like when you touch on it, it ripples, right? Material design guideline, ripples. Cupertino, different, right? And Cupertino હમણાં જે નવું આવ્યું glass, totally different. Right? So that's a design library. That's your, you can say, design patterns. They have their own design patterns. And then come to design system, where you have all branding, your design philosophy. So, જે નવી જે glass design આવી ને, that is the design philosophy. They understand કે ભાઈ એક તમારું નીચે મટીરિયલ છે ને એની ઉપર તમારી પાસે ગ્લાસ છે, liquid glass. તો તમને કેવું ફીલ થશે? If you have seen the video, they're actually doing that experiment on the physical stuff, right? So once that things comes into the picture, this becomes the design system. એ લોકોનું એનિમેશન બી છે ને થોડું સોફ્ટ હશે કમ્પેર્ડ ટુ. કોની પાસે આઈફોન ને એન્ડ્રોઈડ બંને ટ્રાય કરેલા છે, એક્સપ્લોર કરેલા છે? સ્ક્રોલ બિહેવિયર બંનેમાં ડિફરન્ટ છે, એકમાં બાઉન્સી છે ને એકમાં એકદમ સ્મૂથ છે, રાઈટ? That's where this design principles and philosophy comes into the picture. Okay, next please. So in short, the design system is the standards. UIKit is just implementation. Right now we are discussing with the Flutter. So that's why implementation in Flutter. By the way, design system is a platform and language agnostic. એવું નથી કે તમે ખાલી એન્ડ્રોઈડમાં જ ઇમ્પ્લિમેન્ટ કરી શકો, iOSમાં, JSમાં. No, it's a platform and language agnostic. Okay, and the third is component library, which you can ready to use. Material widget ના components use કરે છે આપણે, elevated button, right? Avatar, scaffold. These are ready to use. That's why it's called component library. Material library કહીએ છે ને, material widget library. That's why. Okay, next. Okay, so now the main question, the elephant in the room. Why companies need design system? Why? For example, you are working for a company or a big company. Like currently I'm working for Escapia. Okay. Now over there, recently we launched 3 new features. One is add-on card, one is store, which is e-commerce, and third is the experience, which is like you can go and book કે મારે skydive કરવું છે કે અથવા તો પછી બુર્જ ખલીફાની ટિકિટ જોઈએ છે. Now these three are totally different verticals. એક આખું કોમર્સ છે, એક experience છે, ત્રીજો add on card, which is like totally banking. But all three things, how they are harmonizing with each other. તમને જોઈને લાગે કે ના આ એપ તો એક જ છે. Right? So for that, the consistency, you need a design system. Right? Second, speed. How fast you are going out in the market with new features. Let's take an example કે હવે e-commerce ની અંદર મારે બીજું કંઈક નવું નાખવું છે તો હું ફરીથી કોડ લખવા બેસીશ કે સેમના સેમ કમ્પોનન્ટ્સ યુઝ કરી શકીશ. હવે એમાં હું શું ચેન્જ કરીશ કે જેનાથી કન્સિસ્ટન્સી રહે પણ મને ફ્લેવર બી આવે. Okay, I'll give you example of my previous organization, Tata Neu. So I was working with the Tata Neu. Tata Neu app કોઈએ વાપરી છે? I know it's not that good. રેકોર્ડ ના કરતા. Okay. So in a Tata Neu app, there are more than 50 plus categories. They have the fashion, they have electronics, they have e-commerce, they have flights, hotels, credit card, quick commerce, grocery, everything. But if you just start using, you will feel કે okay, બધું સેમ લાગે. Like ખાલી તમે ગ્રોસરીમાં જશો ને તો તમે ગ્રીનિશ ફીલ આવશે, ક્રોમમાં જશો તો પર્પલ ફીલ આવશે, ફ્લાઇટ્સમાં જશો તો કદાચ રેડિશ ફીલ આવશે, એર ઇન્ડિયા ટાઈપ. રાઈટ? સો that's where the speed comes into the picture if you have a design system already available. So ત્યાં અમે શું ચેન્જ કરીએ છીએ? Just theme. Rest of the things are common. How we are implementing it, we will discuss. Third is onboarding. Now what is onboarding? કેટલા લોકો અહીંયા seniors છે, like have those who are managing a teams who have direct, like તમારા junior છે જે તમને સીધા report કરે છે. Okay. કોઈ નવો ડેવલપર આવે ત્યારે તમે એને onboard કેવી રીતે કરો છો? શું કહો છો એને કે જઈને કોડ વાંચી લે? અને સિવાય બીજું કંઈ? પછી પેલું પૂછે સાહેબ કે ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન છે? એવું બધું ના હોય અહીંયા. રાઈટ? ઇવન ધો અત્યારે જેમિનાઈ કર્સર બધું આવ્યા પછી બી વી આર નોટ જનરેટિંગ ધ ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન. વાય? But if we have this kind of design system, he will able to get on board very easily. હવે એને ખબર છે કે ભાઈ અહીંયા જે છે ને મારું એક જ બટન યુઝ થાય છે, મારું પ્રાઇમરી બટન. એકવાર પ્રાઇમરી બટનનો કોડ જોઈ લેશે, ઓકે આમાં આટલું આટલું છે, આ પેરામીટર છે, જ્યાં બી બટન દેખાશે પ્રાઇમરી બટન લઈને નાખી દેશે. સિમ્પલ, ઇઝી ટુ અન્ડરસ્ટેન્ડ. ઇશ્યુ આવે તો ખબર પડી ગઈ ક્યાં ઇશ્યુ છે. રાઈટ? સો onboarding become easy and reusability obviously. Next please. Okay, so now we discuss about the design system, but how to get started with. અત્યારે તમે લોકો તમારા પ્રોડક્ટ પર કામ કરી રહ્યા છો, પ્રોજેક્ટ પર કામ કરી રહ્યા છો, ક્લાયન્ટના પ્રોજેક્ટ પર અથવા તો પોતાની પ્રોડક્ટ પર કામ કરી રહ્યા છો, રાઈટ? હવે તમને એવું થાય કે આ સેશન તો સાંભળે પણ સર સ્ટાર્ટ કેવી રીતે કરીએ? હાઉ ટુ ગેટ સ્ટાર્ટેડ વિથ? સો આનું એક ફ્રેમવર્ક છે. યુ કેન ગો ફ્રોમ like least item to the biggest item. How? Let's go. So there is something called tokens. Material design guideline ક્યારે ખોલીને વાંચી છે? Have you ever got a chance to open it? There is something called primary color, secondary color, background, on background, right? Those are the tokens. So what is primary? As a developer, I don't know. What is the value? The value can be anything. But if designers say, okay, અહીંયા તમારે primary color મૂકવાનો છે તો મારે મૂકી દેવાનો. પછી એ થીમની અંદર એની વેલ્યુ ગમે તે હોય, it will be changed automatically. Now where this will help? Okay, so next festival is coming is a Christmas. Zapto, Blinkit, Instamart, એવી કોઈ બી ફેમસ એપ તમે બધાએ જોઈ છે? જેવી કોઈ બી ફેસ્ટિવલ આવે ને એ લોકોની આખી એપ ચેન્જ થઈ જાય એક જ વારમાં. બધું જ ચેન્જ થઈ જાય. ડોન્ટ યુ થિંક ઇઝ અ મેજિક? ધીસ ઇઝ ધ મેજિક. તો એમની એ લોકોએ છે ને બધી વસ્તુ ટોકનમાં ડિફાઇન કરેલી છે કે બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ કલર તો બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ કલર, અંદરની વેલ્યુ શું છે સર્વરથી આવશે અથવા બેકએન્ડથી આવશે. As soon as you change it, the backend will change. Okay, 25 એ રિસ્પોન્સમાં મારે બ્લુની જગ્યાએ રેડ આપવાનું છે. It will the whole application will get changed dynamically. That's where the tokens comes into the picture. Now the tokens have also kind of a dynamic values. Can you just go next? So these can be defined as a tokens with the dynamic values, which are colors, right? You have normal font color, text color, border color, typography. You have some bold, italic, font size, right? Font weight, 400, 600, 800, okay? Spacing as well. Now how do you define a spacing? 2 pixel, 4 pixel, 6 pixel, 8 pixel? No. As a developer, ideal is like small, medium, large, extra small. Value can be anything because based on your theme, it can be changed the value. But that will be consistent. તમે across the app, તમારી પાસે કાર્ડ છે અને એક બટન છે, બંને વચ્ચે સ્પેસ નાખી છે, સ્પેસ મીડિયમ, રાઈટ? હવે તમારા ફોનના પ્રમાણે, if you have a small device, if you have a big device, the value is changing. You don't have to worry about it. That will be taken care by your theme. Correct? Because based on that your device pixel ratio, it will fetch the theme value. Radius and shadow, correct? And the motion as well. Can anyone help me understand motion? Why motion is a token? What kind of motion we are talking about here? Any idea? Any reference you can think of?
Bouncing scroll effect.
Bouncing scroll effect, correct one. What else? Hero animation, okay. Some transition effects. In some of the applications, you might have observed that always a screen is coming from left to right or right to left. Or in some application, it is always like, like blasting out. All right, so that is my motion. Also, their animation has also a motion. If you click on it, the button will, slowly will move and then fast. That is a motion. That is a brand guidelines. That's why the design system. So how we can use it? Now, let's take an example of a button. Now, button can have two states, enabled, disabled. Okay, for example, in a enabled, I have a container and icon. So how I will use it? The tokens like this way somewhere. Elevation.level 3, elevation.level 1, because I have a different elevation levels. The shadow can be a color.shadow because I have only a one shadow color. So I can write this kind of tokens in my code. And this kind of guidelines can be published by your designer. So it will be easy for you. Next. Can you see the difference, the corner radius? That's how you can use it. So once you know, okay, our corner radius थोड़ी नानी मोटी लागे छे, but if you know exact value, okay, corner radius 2, 4, 6, 8. Simple. Next. Right? There are some more examples that how you can define the tokens, small, medium, large, क्या use થઈ શકે, and the values. Next. Spacing. Right? Now spacing you can use the normal spacing as well and inside the padding and margin as well. Do you think both are the same or both are different? Is the margin and padding is equal to spacing or not? No. Sorry. How many of you say this no? Please raise your hand. Okay, how many says yes? I can't see the hands. Okay, just be confident, it's okay. There is no right or wrong, but I just want to know your opinion so that I can, help you understand what is the right one. Okay, so how many of you say that spacing is equal to margin and padding? Okay, how many of you say that spacing is not equal to margin and padding? Okay, those who haven't raised the hand, what is your definition? Fair. See, spacing is between the two elements. Okay. Padding is the boundary and the own element inside it. The margin is the boundary and the outer spacing. Right? So these are totally different things. You can use it in a similar way, but it will impact when it comes to accessibility. How? For example, you have created one button. Okay. This button doesn't have any margin or any padding. It's just a button. Now you have given a spacing around it. Okay? 8 pixel, 8 pixel, 8 pixel. Now the person who have a very fat thumb is not able to tap it because the button is very small. There is no target area. That's where the padding will come into the picture because you are giving a padding and you are increasing the radius of your button. That's where spacing will not help you. So even though you are using on a similar fashion, that's okay, but it will affect in the accessibility point. So if you are working on the application which are quite big or into the European region. By the way, in the Europe, there is a law. If your digital product is not accessibility compliant, even your employee can sue you. એટલે સમજો તમે કોડ બરાબર નથી કર્યો બરાબર એક્સેસિબિલિટી ફાટે છે તમે જ કેસ કરો તમારી કંપની પર કે યાર આ એપ નહીં ચાલતી. Okay. On top of that, the bigger problem is regarding the accessibility in Europe, you might be put behind the bars. It's that strict. So if you have a European client Make sure you follow the accessibility guidelines. Okay. Cool. Next. Okay. Color. We most of the time have faced the situation where light theme માં બધું જ મસ્ત ચાલે, but જેવું dark કરે ને બધું ફાટી જાય. Faced? Yes. Why? Because we forget about there is something called contrast ratio, right? And that's where the color tokens will again come into the picture. તમારી પાસે color token define કરેલા હોય કે background ને on background આ જ હોવું જોઈએ. So background is my background color, on background is my font color. Simple. પછી તમે કઈ બી નાખો, it will work because the value is will be controlled by the designers, and the designer know what is the right value. વસ્તુ ક્યાં ફાટે ખબર છે? આપણને ખબર જ ના પડતી હોય. પછી પેલો શું કહેવાય કે EEFCC હોય ને, તો EEFF ને EE થઈ જાય. And that's where things goes wrong, right? Next. Okay. So we were talking about the tokens, like the smallest element. On top of tokens, there is something called atoms. એવા individual components કે જેને તમે ગમે ત્યાં યુઝ કરી શકો across the app. Like checkbox, individual component, radio button. Next, please. Buttons, your input box, all right? Your icons, your text styles. Text style individual use થાય. Title, subtitle, descriptions, right? Avatars. So these are the atoms. Now, when you are developing or working on design system, make sure you first create your atom library. Why? એકવાર એક બટન બનાવી દીધું, પછી ક્યાંય બી બટન યુઝ થશે ને તમારા મોટી એપમાં, તો એ સેમ જ બટન યુઝ થશે. So that will help you, right? Next. Then comes to molecule. Atom બની ગયા તમારા, neuron, proton, electron. Then it become your molecule. Okay, H2O, right? So atoms are like, so the atoms are working together as a small meaningful unit that become molecule. હવે વિચારો તમારી એપમાં એવા કયા molecules છે કે જે independently work કરે છે, but there are collection of atoms. Next. Search bar. Independent. It can work independent across the app, right? Your form field can work independent across the app. Now, whether it's for the name, last name, phone number, email ID, PAN card, credit card, a lot of things. So you can create a molecule, text field, and then you can just give one extra parameter, which is called formatter or a validation. And then rest of the text field will work as it is. Correct? Card header. You might have, a lot of cards in your applications. Like, વચ્ચે image હોય, ઉપર title હોય, subtitle નહીં, price હોય. પછી price ના હોય, એની જગ્યાએ કદાચ arrow હોય, detailમાં જવા માટે. Subtitleની જગ્યાએ 2 લાઈનનું subtitle હોય. અથવા there is a one more badge over here as a new. Sold out, offer, right? So are you going to create all this as an independent widget? No. Single molecule, as in your header, and header have that properties, right? Next. Then it comes to organism. So first we talked about tokens, color tokens. Then we talked about atoms, molecules, now organism, the whole card. Now, what is the organism? Is a complex section made of atoms plus molecules, right? Now think of your card. Your card had one big hero image, title, subtitle, price. That become your organism. Now consider if you want to use the same card in a different way. Okay, for example, you are building an application for a fintech plus travel. Let's take an example of Scapia. Okay. So you want to show the hotels. Now hotels have images, hotels have a hotel name, and the location, and the right side you have a price. Now the same thing I want to show for e-commerce. Product image, product title, product description, product price. Can I use the same component over there? Yes. What thing get changed? If I want to change the layout, for example, if I want to use the same organism in a row format, like list tile, image, title, subtitle, and price, like my cart item. Can I use the same component? Yes or no? How? My component इतना बड़ा है ना, ऐसे उसको same component कैसे बनाऊंगा मैं? How I will use the same component? Will it be a same component or a different component? How many are agree with the same component? Okay, quite. Okay, how many says it's a totally different component? And how many feel that, okay, that is something that we don't know, but something overlapping? Okay. Okay, that's called a variant, which has almost same kind of data. So here you have a like big variant and small variant or horizontal variant. For example, if I want to show the same hotel one, which is coming into the list view, I want to show in the grid. Can I just shrink it? So that the whole organism will get shrink and that become 2 by 2 grid rather than 1:1 list view, correct? So that called variant. Keep this in mind. This will be very helpful when you start working on your next project. Next, please. So what are the different organisms that we can think of? Your navigation bar, correct? It has atoms as well, the molecule as well, correct? Card component, the card component which is shown here. Can you see this is the header, card header, the 2 buttons. I can have only single button, 2 buttons or like no buttons, correct? I have the CTA footer as well. Now I can change the CTA footer with any footer. I can have this 2 button over here as well, and I can remove these 2 buttons. Right? Next. So in design system, how you can grow further? How you can go, after from tokens? So first comes tokens, then molecules, atoms, molecules, organism, then comes the template. That means तुमने search screen बनाया, ऊपर search text field and नीचे list view. That's become your template. Now anywhere you want search, you can directly copy paste the template, right? And then comes the pages. Now in the whole page, in the search page, there is come error state, loading state, success state, correct? That becomes your page. So that's how you grow in the design system. With me till now, cover padi design system, कैसे start करी, how to get started. Now the problem comes next. For example, we created all this thing, but how we start implementing that thing in our application? अब एक टीम से बैठा बैठा डिजाइन सिस्टम बनावे છે ભાઈ ઓકે અમે ડેવ ફેસમાં સાંભળ્યું તો ચલો બનાવીએ તમારા બોસે આઈને કીધું ચલો કરીએ એક બાજુ ડિલિવરીની ટાઈમલાઈન છે કે પરમ દિવસે તમારે બિલ્ડ આપવાની છે how you will start consuming the design system? Easy way, start with the tokens બનાવી દીધા નાખી દો બટન બની ગયા જ્યાં જ્યાં બી બધા અઘરા અઘરા બટન દેખાય છે રિપ્લેસ કરી દો બટ નાઉ ધ ક્વેશ્ચન કમ્સ કે સર યાર અમુક બટનમાં તો છે ને અમુક પ્રોપર્ટી છે જે અહીંયા નથી લાઈક અમુક બટન જે છે ટોટલી ડિસેબલ્ડ છે અમુક બટન છે એ ડિસેબલ્ડ બી છે અને નોન ક્લિકેબલ બી છે અમુક વાર ડિસેબલ તમે ક્લિક બી રાખો કે નીચે એરર બતાવવા માટે રાઈટ કે નોટ અવેલેબલ યા ફિલ ધીસ ફોર્મ ઓર સમથિંગ લાઈક દેટ બટ ઇન સમવેર your button is disabled and also not clickable, right? So how you will do this? So we'll discuss after this. Okay, let's just skip the accordion. Okay, we can take the example of accordion which I have added. Okay. So while creating this, so the big problem comes in terms of implementation, where, for example, the design team एक accordion बनाई दी थी. Okay, now accordion have 2 states. One collapsed, second is expanded. Okay, 2 states. Next. Now it can have a layout as well, title, button or icon, and then your description. Title, description, icon, and then your state, open and close, or collapsed or expanded. Now help me understand. Accordion, if you click on one tab, it will open. It will click on another tab, what will happen? It will open and the first one will get collapsed. Third, same. But what if in your screen you need a capability that user will be tapping on it to close? It should not get auto collapsed. Whatever user tab, it will just keep and then expanded. How you will do it? So that's where when you build a component, when you build such molecule or atoms, you need to think of as a state as well, who will be responsible to managing the state of that component. In some cases, you want to restrict it towards the component itself. Or in this accordion case, you might have to expose it so that the consumer of this accordion should be able to change the state or control the state. Right? Next. Next. Okay. So why I'm showing all this description and everything, like when you start working on design system, make sure you as an engineer and your design counterpart, your design team, work together and define all these things. Can you see everything is defined? Kya kitli space, what is the size, margin, padding, textile, icons, how it will look when it expands, when it collapsed. So if this has been defined, then you can write a code and then you can utilize everywhere. And to start with, to understand this, just simply go to material design guidelines. Just open any component, any standard component. You will see all this in detail. Go to the material design website as well. You will see such kind of screens. By the way, I have copied from them as well. Next. Right. What else? The next is kind of a loaders. Have you seen this kind of loaders? Dot dot hoy અને પછી એક shimmer હોય. આના માટે તમે અલગ અલગ કોડ લખો છો દરેક વખતે? Obviously. Correct? કેમ કે પેલું મારું linear progress indicator છે. And this is my shimmer library માંથી લીધેલું છે. Shimmer library ની અંદર બી પછી મારે ચોરસ, rectangle, gold. Like, is there anyone here who don't understand Gujarati? Okay, thanks. I just realized that I need to keep speaking in English and Hindi as well. Okay, so for this kind of situation, when you are working for a design system component, how you can identify is you can just introduce something called enums. Loader type dot dotted, loader type dot shimmer. And inside it, you can create your own loader, which can be utilized across the app. Become easy. Next. Button. Rather than writing a button for 6 different widgets, just a single button, which has the property enum based, button type, right? Filled button, outline button, or just icon button, or text button. Have you seen image.asset, image.network? What is that? Same philosophy, right? Next. Next. Okay. The key challenges. When we work as a design system, multiple teams are working on their own stuff. In a design system as well, કોઈકને બટન બનાવવા આપ્યા, કોઈકને checkbox બનાવવા આપ્યા, કોઈને accordion બનાવવા. They will work their way. That's a challenge. They are working in silos. Next. New designers. Okay, we are talking about the developers, but how about the designers? એ લોકોને ખબર પડી જોઈએ ને કે ભાઈ આગળની ડિઝાઇનમાં તારે કોપી પેસ્ટ કરવાનું છે. ઇન ફિગમાં there is something called variable, there is something called component. ફિગમાં ખબર છે રાઇટ ક્લિક કરીને એમાં આવે છે go to main component. જેટલા ડિઝાઇનર છે એમને પૂછે, એમને ખબર છે? So they have to create this component first and then they have to refer it, right? So design drift. Okay, design drift. Any idea? Design drift. I guess we discussed this. Small variation in design. એક ફીચરની અંદર કાર્ડ બનાવ્યું હશે ને તો એમાં બોર્ડર રેડિયસ 8 આપી હશે, બીજામાં 10 આપી હશે. એક જગ્યાએ સ્પેસિંગ 12 છે ને એક જગ્યાએ 13 છે ને એક જગ્યાએ 15 છે અથવા એક જગ્યાએ 14 છે. ખબર જ નથી તમારે કયા પોર્શનમાં જઈ રહ્યા છો, 2 ના પોર્શનમાં જઈ રહ્યા છો, 1.5 કે 7, I don't know. Right, that happens. That's a nightmare. Okay, next. Component misused. My favorite one. Okay. ક્યારે કોઈ બટન ખાલી એઝ અ લેબલ તરીકે યુઝ કર્યું છે ડિસેબલ કરીને? Just as a label. UI same જ છે. Okay, I'll give you another example. And you guys help me, okay. Are you aware about something called badges? Badge આવે છે. Circular, capsule જેવું badge, right? And there is something called chips. Same UI. Same capsule. Now these two are different component or a same component. And why? Badges and chips. Okay, let's just first discuss what is the use case of the badges. Badges have different states, yes or no? What state? કયા કયા હોઈ શકે? What kind of state the badges have? New, outdated, out of stock, right? Those are the badges that we can use. And the chips, filter chips, selected, non-selected, disabled, enabled. Even though these both look same, but both have a different behavior. That's why this both should be a different component. Even though both have same visual aesthetics. બંને દેખામાં સેમ જ લાગશે, ખબર જ નહીં પડે કોણ શું છે. But based on their behavior, it is a different, that's why it should be a different component. Right? So that's why like component misuse. When you scale, this problem comes કે ભાઈ આની જગ્યાએ આ use કરી લીધું. હવે આનો control કેવી રીતે કરો પણ? How you will control it? Next. Okay, before control, let's just see that how Flutter actually helps us to make sure the design system we are doing is in the right way. Next. First, single code base. Yes, whether it's a web, mobile, desktop, you can use a single code base. Write your tokens, write your atoms, molecules, and it will be get used. Right? Declarative nature. My favorite one. Button dot size, button size dot small, button size dot medium, button size dot large. You are declaring itself, right? Button style dot filled, button style dot primary or secondary button, right? Theming and extension, okay. Theme data use કર્યું છે, right? ક્યારે use કર્યું છે? જ્યારે તમારે સ્ટાઇલ જોઈએ સ્ટાઇલ ના થાય એટલે પછી એને રેપ કરો, જખ મારી કે આમ જ કર. માન મારું કહું છું, right? ના માન. Why? Because the main theme is doing something else. They have the different property. They have the different characteristics. And we are overriding that. That's why we are wrapping it with the theme data. Right? So what we can do rather than doing this, rather than doing, wrapping with the theme data, something called dot copy with, that's called extension. You are extending that the existing property and updating whatever is available. Composition over inheritance. Okay. In a JavaScript and in other languages, if you want to create a button or something, what do? You extend the there button. You inherit that button and then update it. But in Flutter, you can actually avoid that and you can create your own button. Just like in the first example we did. Text, wrap with a container, wrap with a gesture controller, and we created our own button. We can compose our own button. We can compose our own states. Now, for example, if in your guidelines, your button is very different than the actual native button, you can actually do it. That's where the Flutter comes very handy into the picture. You can compose it the way you want, right? And obviously the hot reload. Does anyone aware about the widget previews? It's a new feature. You can actually, see what you are writing the code rather than running the app in your developer console. Correct? Next. Okay. Next. So when you start working with the Flutter, what are the things you need to take care of? API design principles. API means not the API that you are calling with the backend. I'm not talking about that API. The API means the properties that you are looking for your component. All right, the sensible defaults. Okay. If I'm writing a one button, what should be the bare minimum thing that a user should implement it? કઈ વસ્તુ છે compulsory હોવી જોઈએ બટનમાં? On press. What else? Title. Okay. Now what can be the defaults one? Border color, background color default. Actually, button style should be a default. Default should be always a primary button, right? So when you are writing your component, make sure that you should use some smart defaults. પછી એવું ના કે default એવા રાખે છે કોઈ યુઝર નથી કરતું દર વખત ચેન્જ જ કરે છે. તો લોકો ના મને આ ગમે છે એટલે મેં કરી નાખ્યા મારી મરજી મેં બનાવ્યો component. Fewer required parameters as we discussed, right? એવું ના કે પછી તમે એક બટન સાઇઝ આપવી જ પડશે કયું સ્ટાઇલ છે પ્રાઇમરી આપતું તો જ હું રેન્ડર થઈશ નહીં તો assertion error, right? Consistent naming, yes. Button 1, button 2, button 3, no. Okay, કેટલા લોકો કમ્પોનન્ટ બનાવીને પાછળ વિજેટ બી લખે છે પ્રાઇમરી બટન વિજેટ લિસ્ટ આઇટમ વિજેટ ભાઈ એ વિજેટ જ છે તું જે બનાવે છે શું કામ નામું કરે છે? So okay, there are some discussions on internet as well that what is a consistent naming means. Name આપવા કેવી રીતે? એને યુઝ કેસ પ્રમાણે આપવા કે પછી એની પ્રોપર્ટીઝ પ્રમાણે આપવા? What do you think? Use case. તો મારું પ્રાઇમરી બટન જે છે એ બધી જગ્યાએ એઝ અ સબમિટ યુઝ થાય છે તો એને સબમિટ બટન લખીશ કે પ્રાઇમરી બટન લખીશ? તો પછી યુઝ કેસ તો ના થયો. How you will tell it? I want to discuss this in this forum because this is a very interesting one. Okay, the card example that we took, right? The big card. And it has some very specific functionality for my hotels related thing. Should I name it as in the hotel card? Or as a general card? Card with the big variant. What I should do it? Card with the big variant is there, but hotel specific I have added some modification because there is some styling which I change it, which is very specific to the hotel. Should I wrap it into another widget and name it as in the hotel card, or should I keep it as in the main big card with the variant as a card with the variant big? What should I do? How many of you say that I will be keeping as in the card with the variant big? Okay, how many in a favor that I should be doing as in the wrapping with the hotel card? So ideally, wrapping with the hotel card will make a lot of sense because the thing which you have created, the card big variant, that is a design system part. Over there, you have to keep that name. But when you are consuming it in the application, I'm talking about a little bit outer side of the design system. When you are consuming the design system, creating that card particular for your application or particular for that feature, then you will name it as in the use case wise. So what you can do is, if you have primary button, now submit button have some different property. For example, the loading. It has a loader on top of it. And then only it will take an action once the loader gets finished. Then you can create or you can modify your primary button with the submit button. So that every inside the app, the submit button will have, when you tap it, there is a debounce you automatically have added in the submit button. And then there is an API call also you can inject. Once the API call get ended, you can get a callback and you can change the state from loading to a normal state. With me? Clear? Why we are discussing this? I hope it is helping. Cool. And the last is predictable behavior. Okay. Have you ever came to name के नाम पति कहीं खबर ना पड़े कि शू कर रहा था? या कोई विजेट नाम कोई मना आपसे? लोगों एक बीजा ने आम इशारा करा जत्ते ये करिए तूने. I can see this. Okay. There might be some kind of name we might come across, like double XL text view with a 4-digit only number text field. Doesn't make sense, right? So make sure that you give a name which is predictable, which can make sense. Next. So this is just one example that how actually you should do it. For example, title is selected, is disabled, on selected icon. Look at the default one and the required one. This, for example, this is a chip. तो chip ની અંદર શું જોઈએ મારે title જોઈએ? Yes, on selected જોઈએ કે select કર્યું છે કે નથી કર્યું. જ્યારે હું ટેપ કરું તો મને રિટર્નમાં શું આપે? True false આપે પેરામીટર. કરેક્ટ? કઈ બી જગ્યાએ કશે મેં assertion નાખેલું છે? I can add the assertion as well on the title કે ભાઈ આપો તો જ હું render કરીશ, right? So make sure when you write this API specs, you define this in a very right manner. Next. Okay, what are the anti-patterns? તમે એક કમ્પોનન્ટ બનાવો ને બધું જ એક્સપોઝ કરી નાખો. લાઈક યુ હેવ ક્રિએટેડ યોર સબમિટ બટન, પણ એમાં સ્ટાઇલિંગ બી એક્સપોઝ કરી નાખી, લાઈક ટેક્સ્ટની ફોન્ટ સ્ટાઇલ બી એક્સપોઝ કરી નાખી, બટનનો બેકગ્રાઉન્ડ કલર બી એક્સપોઝ કરી નાખ્યો. કેમ? જરૂરત નથી. સબમિટ બટન ઇઝ ઓલવેઝ ઇન માય પ્રાઇમરી કલર. ઇટ ડઝન્ટ રિક્વાયર. સો ડોન્ટ ઓવર એક્સપોઝ, એન્ડ વિચ ઇઝ ઓલમોસ્ટ સિમિલર ટુ ઓવરલી જેનરિક વિજેટ. એવો વિજેટ ના બનાવો કે એકદમ પછી જેનરિક થઈ જાય, અંદર કશું બી નાખે. For example, in accordion, rather than a text field or a description, I will add another widget as a child. પેલો અંદર બીજું widget નાખી દેતો, same accordion નાખી દેતો, accordion ની અંદર accordion. I'm violating the rules, right? Style inside the feature. જે styles જે છે એ feature ની અંદર છે, નહીં કે component ની અંદર. મેં style બહાર જ આપી દીધી છે, તો પછી આ component નો meaning જ નથી રહેતો. It is now out of my design system, right? Next. So what makes a component reusable? Configuration, states and behavior, right? Next. Enum based variant that we discussed. Okay. Theme overrides. I can override the theme dot. Okay. And the composition. I can compose my own components, right? Next. Button, primary, secondary, tertiary, small, medium, large, correct? Next. Okay, back. Documentation. Most important thing, હવે કર. આવું ડોક્યુમેન્ટેશન લખાય? You know what? Why documentation fails? Next. Because nobody reads it and nobody updates it. Right? So make sure when you write design system, when you create your components, the documentation also should get updated regularly. Next. Okay. So what exactly the good documentation looks like? For example, you are creating your bottom navigation bar. You should write that it can have only 3 or 5 bottom destinations, not more than that. So at least खबर है कि भाई 3 तो minimum होगा जो maximum 5. Right? It's not always you write the technical documentation. Okay, next. This one as well. The floating action button should be on a bottom right. Okay, right aligned above the navigation bar. Specifically લખેલું છે. અહીંયા રાઈટ સાઈડ મૂકી દો પછી ભલે નેવિગેશન બારની ઉપર આવતા ખબર જ ના પડે પેલો નીચે દબાવે છે ઉપર દબાવે છે એવું છે પછી બગ આવે કે સર મારામાં તો ચાલે છે કે મારો તો મોટો ડિવાઇસ છે પેલો 6C લઈને બેઠો છે. Right, next. So the documentation will be a story-based documentation, right? Second, live catalogs. Means જેટલા components બનાવ્યા છે હવે તમે એને use કેવી રીતે કરો દેખાય કેવા? That should be something. There is a tool available called Widgetbook. Okay, and for a coding you can auto generate it in the Dart docs. હવે બધા AI tools available છે that can generate it. Next. So this is how the Widgetbook will look like. Left side દેખાય બધા components, right? Shop no screen છે. I can change the state of the screen and it will look like this. So whatever widgets you are creating, if you are integrate with the Widgetbook, you can actually do this kind of thing. So now just take an example. You have 3-4 buttons, different state, different values. How it will look, you can implement this in your own company. So next time someone asks, "Bhai, આ button કેવું લાગશે?" અથવા the product manager will come. એક યાર અહીંયા આ button કેવું લાગશે? આ button કેવું છે? કોડ નહીં કરવાનો. આ લિંક આપી દે કે રમ. These are the live. Okay, you can do it. Next. The most tough part, testing. આ બધું કર્યા પછી ટેસ્ટ શું કરવાનું? Next. Golden test. ખબર છે કોઈને? Golden test, anyone aware? The visual test. What it does is it actually take the screenshot and compare the screenshot. So if you are following the design system and creating a component, make sure you add the golden test. So tomorrow, if someone is changing some styling of a button, you can catch it. કે ભાઈ આ તો આપણા સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ પ્રમાણે નથી. You might have done something wrong. Next. So golden test for snapshot comparison, widget test for behavior. કે તમારું widget proper કામ કરે છે, ટેપ કરું તો આવું થાય છે, ડબલ ટેપ કરું તો પછી બે વાર તો ટેપ નથી થતું ને. મંકી ટેસ્ટિંગ, રાઈટ? API ના કોલ 10 વાર થઈ ગયા પછી એપ હેંગ. નેક્સ્ટ. CI integration to block PRs on mismatch golden test. CI માં નાખી શકો, રાઈટ? એન્ડ મોસ્ટ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ, fourth one, lint. રાઈટ? કે કોઈ રેન્ડમ કલર જોઈએ જ નહીં, બધા ટોકન જ વાપરો ત્યાં સુધી CI પાસ જ ના થાય. You can write your own lint. Right, next. So these are the examples which I have taken. So first is the material design. The second is the Zinc design system, which I worked on, is from Tata Digital, my previous app, Tata New. And then Sushi is from Zomato, Blade is from Razorpay, and there is a Wise design as well. So these are the different design systems that you can go and follow. All right, so that's it from my end. You can connect with me. So these are the handles which you can connect with me. So I stepped down from the GDG Ahmedabad last year as in the organizer. I moved to Bangalore. In Bangalore, the Flutter community was dead. So I started a community over there named Flutterflix, which I'm going to expand across the India, or maybe across the globe if I get some helping hands as well. So if you are interested, you can join the Flutterflix community. You can scan the QR code and you can join it. Cornerlize is something which I'm working on, which is very near to my heart, which is for the accessibility. So I'm working on a tool which actually give you the issues into your code that accessibility is not getting followed. And it will show you in an error that, hey, these are the issues. If you fix it, your accessibility, you are compliant. So that's the thing. Next. Special thanks to Teeth AI. AI means asli insan. Okay. It's not artificial intelligence. So this guy actually helped me a lot today to build this presentation because I was traveling. So kudos to him who helped me to build this presentation. He helped me to articulate my thoughts into the presentation. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, thank you so much.